Hello and welcome back to the Fireside stream. I am your host, Raymond McNeil, and with me is the always wonderful Mollie Rhyme Master. How are you doing today, Mollie?
Where am I?
Kidnapped, I'm sorry. It happens to the rest of us. No. I hope everyone had a very good Turkey Day. For those that celebrated, of course. Which I think
And of
most...
course, Turkey Day is followed up by Black Frog Day.
We have Black Frog Day. Yeah, it's going to be a wonderful... Don't get trampled in the crowds out there. Don't catch the coof. As you can see, I'm already getting the festive cheer for the next big holiday because it's my favorite of the year. But yes, welcome back. Last time we challenged you folks to write the beginnings of stories, and we're going to be covering those today. Hopefully, we get some good submissions here. While people are still kind of pouring in, Mollie, what would you say is the most important element of the opening of a story?
Kind of the same thing that comprises a lot of other really strong facets of the thing, which is the human aspect, where you should be concerned with the person in the scenario and not necessarily like nobody wants to read a story and open it up and it says like the year is 1782 and we are in a small town known as Pleasantville where there's five streets crossing through the main part of the town and 10 streets like nobody wants you want to read about what's happening to the individual so that you kind of get a better feeling for what's going on there.
I would add to that less about the individual. Actually, I think it's more about my importance is about gripping the audience, and the way you do that is numerous. I had a book that I started with some exposition. I'm not really big on exposition, but like the idea was it was setting up where the world was. And while I'm planning to go back to this book, and I might actually scrap that, I was actually pretty happy with how it was basically just going over the chronology of events that led up to where we are today, because those events were interesting to hear about. Or at least I tried to make them interesting to hear about. I've been told they were interesting to hear about, so I assume they were. Basically, what I find most important is the opening needs to have a strong, gripping moment. It needs to have something
But
that snags the reader.
but it's how that moment is like how you make a moment gripping.
Right, and that's the
That way.
trick behind the opening of a story is that more than anything, the opening to a story is more delivery than it is substance than anything else. Like, it not to say you can't you shouldn't have substance or you can't have substance or you should ignore substance, but what you should have is a clear grip on delivery because it is in that delivery that is you actually grip someone. Now, the way I typically go about this is I try to give it a clear feeling for what the rest of the book is going to be like. I try to cover some of the major emotions it's going to be touched upon. So if I have like a heavy scene that's going to come up in the book, like a really heavy scene, I at least have some kind of moment of foreboding, a small moment of foreboding in there. That's sort of how I kind of lean on it. Uh, but more than anything, it's all about execution. It's all about trying to just grip the reader into wanting to read the rest of your story. A good method of that, one of my favorites, is in medias res. I actually really enjoy in medias res. What do
I
you think
love
of?
Medias Res.
Yeah.
No,
Uh,
it doesn't even have to be like Pulp Fiction style in Medias Res where it's like artsy. Just starting with a strong scene.
I mean, that's it was really weird how Resident Evil, the Resident Evil 2 novel started. I actually really like the novel for Resident Evil 2, which is called City of the Dead. Or is it City of the Damned? It's one of the two. Um, where it started first with an excerpt, a single page excerpt from earlier in the book, from later in the book, where they encounter a liquor for the first time, which is like this. I don't know. You haven't played Resident Evil, I take it. Yeah, a liquor is this horrible like humanoid creature that has shed all of its skin, so it's all exposed muscles and has these claws and has a big exposed brain and this long sinewy tongue that comes out. It's this really
A
unnerving
friend.
thing to look at.
Yeah.
And like it was just this one-page excerpt describing the first encounter with it, and basically just giving the sense of like, oh shit. And then the actual prologue is just a bunch of newspaper articles, basically chronicling the slow infection of the city, from like, oh, there's a few weird murders on the outskirts of town, to there's currently calls for emergency, everyone, shelter in place, that sort of thing going on. So it's like there are several different ways to open a story, diegetically,
Yeah.
non-diegetically.
A friend of mine messaged me saying that in medias res is basically just, you may be wondering how I got here.
It is. Literally, I mean, that is how the trope goes. And I
Also,
love that.
girlfriend in chat is going to be a few minutes late because her puppy is sleeping on her elbow, so she has to carefully move him to not wake him up.
That is perfectly understandable. I've been there.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. So,
It was although when she's in the chat, when she says hi, it was her birthday last week. So if everyone could give her warm, happy birthdays, it would be appreciated.
yes. Please, happy wishes for birthday girl in chat.
Birthday girl in chat.
So today we have 6 submissions. Is that correct?
Yeah, sounds about right.
So we have 6
First-
submissions, and the first one
Yeah.
up is, well, it says the name there, but I believe if we go to so I know who's who, Mupa. This is Mupa. Because I apparently haven't learned Mupa's name yet. Since we have about 30 people, that's a pretty healthy amount for people right now. Let's go into this. The Mental Messenger. Martial law? Here's why General Ironwood can do that. Can't do that. With the grim breach and election upset, tensions are running high. However, we're no banana republic. And statements regarding intent to implement martial law should be taken seriously. By Seraphine Penguar. November 6th, 79th year of Atlas's Rising. All right, I think she's going for like I just suggested, an epistolary style, where it's it's a news article. So if I'm understanding that correctly, I'm going to give a critique. I don't like the headline. I think the headline's kind of weak. Martial law. Here's why General Ironwood can't do that. You got to make it sensational.
Yeah, I just think with like a newspaper article, it was a really interesting idea.
Oh, didn't mean to leave that up. So, but yeah, I definitely like opening with it. Banana Republic.
So Brady sees the last name and goes, Penguin. Reminds me, I have a friend whose last name is Pelican, and in my brain I always read it Pangolin or Pelican.
Call him Palico. Be funny. Little cat person. Since its institution, the Council of Five have ruled with discretion over both Atlas and Mental. Chosen by the people, and the surrounding systems in place have always ensured that no one member of the Council can break the trust vested in them. Watching over us from above, yet the same soil we all tread upon, that is our Council. That sentence is a little weird.
This feels like one of those super dramatic news articles that you see as opinion pieces and not so much like if you're going to be writing a fake newspaper article, remember that newspaper articles are written day of.
Yeah. And like the
people aren't taking the time sitting there being like, what's a really like powerful way to write that? They're just kind of writing.
Yeah, and like there's a distinction between writing a newspaper article and editorializing. Although admittedly our media seems to have lost the ball on that sometimes. Where you need to distinguish whether or not this is an editorial, like it's someone basically giving their opinion. It's an opinion piece basically. Or is it someone trying to actually be a fair and honest reporter? Or the middle ground, are they trying to appear as a fair and honest reporter, but are actually editorializing? Which is how most media operates today. I need to blow my nose. Oh my god, I'm like stuffed up. feel like I have something like jammed in my sinuses in the back of my throat.
We're getting Thanksgiving sick.
I hope not. But so let me read that. Just by the people and surrounding systems in place have always endured what no member of the council can. Has ensured that no one member of the council can break the trust vested in them. You might want, if you were going to keep that last line, you might want to add a semicolon instead of a period there. Oh, birthday girl in chat, I think. Is that right, Sarah R?
Yeah, birthday girl is in chat.
The past year has seen significant developments in the midst of economic depression. Most recent and pressing on everyone's mind is the breach of Mantle's wall, allowing Grimm to enter the city. Amid continued evacuations and efforts to contain the breach, rumors and supposed declaration of martial law have sent many people into a frenzy of deeper frenzy of panic. See that right there? That is exactly what you aim for. That is the sweet spot. Perfect newspaper delivery there. However, a review of At Legion legal code would assuage those fears. Article 619BGE outlines standards of conduct for council members. They dictate that no one member of the council can pass a motion that affects the populace without the approval of the other residing council members. While concerns have been raised in Ironwood, possibly abusing the power his 2 seats afford him, the general has a long-standing reputation of being a man of law. He cannot declare martial law without the approval of the council members, Carmilla Gardens and Sleet Nimbus. Camilla Gardens, that's it. I'm not sure. How often do you think newspaper articles actually mention the direct name of the law they are citing? That's what's kind of sticking out to me.
Sometimes they'll be like, as stated in the newly voted upon Proposition 27 or something.
Yeah, I don't. You see, that sounds. What you're doing there sounds more like legal speak. Although.
This is interesting. Now we're getting into like how to write a fake newspaper article. Also, the general has a long-standing reputation of being a man of law. Sounds very like opinion, which I wouldn't put past a newspaper. But
yeah, no, I've seen articles that have done that kind of thing before. Definitely. I mean, when you really break it down, all newspaper articles are editorialized. They are all cropped and cribbed in certain ways. It's just like, it's how well you kind of cover that up and try to like rid yourself of biases that matter. So maybe instead just reference the articles that outline standards of conduct for council members. So is that a period? Oh, it's like, I guess. Maybe you want to fold that into the next sentence, like not have articles whatever, but like the articles outlining standards of conduct for council members dictate that no one member of the council can pass a motion that affects the populace without the approval of other residing council members. Like that works way better as a newspaper article. We attempted to reach out to Camilla and Sleet for comment, but they were both away from home. I don't want not away from home, unreachable at the time. I think unreachable because like they're not at home. Like you wouldn't reach out to someone at home typically. You would reach out to them at their office. So like they were both away from their office maybe or something like that.
Could not be reached.
Could not be reached. Yeah.
Cannot be reached for comment, I think is usually the phrase.
In the meantime, this journalist must ask the readers don't buy into the rumors and to condemn those who propagate such conspiracies. This is definitely, depending on where you're going, if you're going editorialized, this is fine. If you're trying to be, strict newspaper article, don't do this article. In the meantime, we must urge our readers not to buy into the rumors. I think that would be a much better because they're speaking with the editorial, the permission of the newspaper. That's sort of how that works, since they're a publisher. We ask that our readers don't buy into the rumors and to condemn those who propagate such conspiracies. I would also say maybe be wary of those that propagate those conspiracies, not condemn. Inspiring panic and anxiety does nothing but exacerbate the situation and invite more grim into the city. No soldiers have been seen harassing citizens, and huntsmen are still working throughout the city to contain the breach, including a group of rookies known to be the mentees of the Aesop's group.
That's reassuring.
I don't know like why that would deserve special mention. I don't think that would deserve special mention. I get that you want to reference Team Ruby, but I feel like that's... I feel like the more I read this, you want to go full editorial where this person's basically just giving their opinion and like talking about weird anecdotes they heard. Like, so that would be probably where you want to take it, Mupa. You want to take it from that angle so you could have this person being like, oh yeah, there are these new rookies that are apparently the mentees of the Aesops. Let's see. Oh, Tiny Marn. Or is it Tiny Weiss and Small Marn? Did we decide? Mini Marn.
Tiny Weiss and Mini Marn.
That's it. All we have to do as citizens is to remain calm and follow the directions for evacuation. Despite appearances, Ironwood could never declare martial law and force his will on the citizenry. That's what the council is for. Edit. It has been revealed in an official statement that the councilman Sleet is dead. Our deepest condolences to the Nimbus family. That could work. I kind of like that you wanted to have that edit at the end. I don't know how to integrate that smoothly. I guess it's supposed to be jarring. I don't know. I think it works, but also like I think you might need more on there, like word on how his seat will be filled is to be determined, that kind of thing. So, I think so far, I think this is great. This is a great little thing. It's rough around the edges because I don't know if you didn't really choose which direction you wanted to take it between being a news article and being an editorial. But
the concept of it being a news article is a really cool one.
One of my favorite things, I just love epistle rewriting. It's one of my favorites.
Yeah. I like, it's kind of like a mixed media form of writing.
Yeah, okay, let me see. There we go. Okay, so this next one is from Apocalyptic Chaos. Just making sure I have the name right. Apocalyptic Chaos gives us the Ruby Frostbite Challenge. Okay. I can already see one issue with this. Molly, do you want to tell me what issue there is without even looking at the actual words themselves?
Hold on, let me open this.
You should have all of them open.
Is it the fact it's a Word doc that I have to open on a separate window in my computer?
No. Actually, you know, I can just share you what I have here.
That's okay, I'm opening it.
Okay.
It's just gonna take a second. Oh my gosh. You know, they kept the Huns out of China with this thing.
Yes, okay, so first rule of an opening. You do not want to intimidate the reader. That is the last thing you want to do. It's the reason why Faulkner is very hard to get into. You open his book, and you encounter a sentence that is a page and a half long. This is intimidating to any reader, any casual reader, and even to some more moderate level readers. This is not. It's imposing. So it's formatting is going to be
page
very
breaks
important.
Are your friend.
Yes, paragraphs are your friends.
That's what I meant. Like paragraph break. The enter key is your friend.
Behold, I will now modify this slightly, and it is immediately a little bit better because now there's an indent.
I'm looking at like the writing that I have in another tab, and I don't think there's a single thing on here that goes on for more than like 3 lines of like page. It's before there's a paragraph break.
All right, so here we go. Here we go. Well, let's get into the actual meat of it. But first thing you need to learn, formatting, my friend. Formatting. The writhing mass of black skin and red muscle bounded through the skies, blotting out the stars as it cut through the clouds. Okay, good imagery. Neo looked in shock and awe. Did Grimm ever get that big? How could something so large even float? The airship felt small in comparison. You're missing a comma there. A thin skin of aluminum between them and this leviathan of the sky. She shivered as she... Nope. Get rid of that comma. It should be a period, capital. She shivered as she realized they'd have to approach even closer. Unenthused, Cinder looked out the window. Cinder needs to be capitalized. What's nice is I can edit this on the fly so you can see,
yeah.
How it's... I think when I do a paragraph break here with unenthused. What do you think?
I see.
Unenthused, Cinder looked out the window.
Unenthused, comma, Cinder, yeah.
Paragraph break there. Unenthused, comma. Cinder looked out the window, paying little mind to the massive Grimm.
Hold on. The commenter, now Wayne, is right. Mantle News would just say, Ironwood is a fascist, Grimm-loving, emotional tyrant. More at 7.
Emotionless,
sorry. But yeah, I think that would be really funny, actually, if you open it with, like, this unbelievably biased news article.
Yeah. And then, like, you could actually have, like, shades of gray for all the characters instead of blatantly painting the guy trying to do the most good in the setting right now as the bad guy. Unenthused, Cinder looked out the window, paying little mind to the massive Grimm. Her arm clenched and unclenching the relic. Her arm clenching and unclenching the relic. Is that
your arm doesn't clench? Your fist does.
Fist clench, unless she's doing like bicep curls around the relic. Like, so yes,
that's like your arm clenching, but
her fist clenching and clenching fist.
Donald Trump would like to know your location.
Adjusting the mirror, she put Cinder's face into focus. Despite their victory, she could see a look of dissatisfaction. Who is the she that's being referred to here? Because this is important, because you've swapped perspectives. Like, the first one was Neo, but then you had unenthused Cinder. And, like, unenthused implies that we are now seeing things from Cinder's point of view. And it's got to be very careful with those kinds of words, because that's like the trigger word for our mind to be like, oh, we're over here now. So is it Neo? If it's Neo, you need to reassert Neo in this certain Neo. It's like adjusting the mirror. Neo put Cinder's face into focus. Period. Despite the and so like I would adjusting the mirror, comma. Neo put Cinder's face into focus. Period. Despite their victory, she could see a look of dissatisfaction. Dissatisfaction, comma, of hunger in the woman's eyes. Returning her attention to the wheel, she matched velocities with the Grimm Skywell, comma, bringing herself level to the writhing mass of malevolent hatred. Okay, docking points. You're using writhing twice within two paragraphs. Again, Mollie's a little more on the repetition than a little more lenient on the repetition than I am. Find it. You could probably use a different word there.
Yeah, I mean, the more words you use, like the more you could kind of paint the picture. You know, it's like using another color.
Yeah, it's like wriggling. Wriggling is a good word. It's one of my favorite.
I love wriggling. Although I have to say, writhing is one of like the most visceral words there.
Oh, it is, but like it was already used earlier, so it's like you've already got that imagery.
I remember, like, the phrase, like, X walked so X could run. I think the most brutal version I've heard of that was X writhed so X could run.
Uh, I don't think you need hatred here. I think it's redundant. You go with just malevolence. So bring yourself level to the wriggling mass of malevolence. She wasn't quite.
Malevolence implies hatred.
Yeah. She wasn't quite sure how they were meant to enter. Semicolon. This is important for semicolon because she's continuing the thought, but it's a different. It's like a different. What's the term? Sections of a sentence. Statement. No. God, I'm terrible at technical terms. It's clause.
What
That's
are you
it.
trying
It's
to
a different
describe?
clause. That's it. So
Okay, yeah.
it's same subject, different clause, and that's when you have a semicolon. When you're like further elaborating upon the previous clause, that's when you have a colon, and it's like basically this is linking two different clauses together that are similar in message. That's what semicolon is typically for. She wasn't quite sure how they were meant to enter.
Semicolons are a tough one.
But they're great. They're so great.
They are. You know what else is great? I'm huge on dashes.
Dashes.
How many double dashes? How many dashes do I have in this one? No, not the letter I. I'm sure I have lots of the letter I. I would think.
They're great for stuttering.
They're great for stuttering and also for breaking up thought.
Yeah.
I have like 57 dashes in this.
It's not as if there were any clear landing PAs. Pads. I think you meant pads.
Oh.
However, it wasn't as if she could just ask the bitch for directions. Okay. She glanced back to Cinder.
Right, that was funny.
Cinder, absent-mindedly clawing marks into the window. Into the window. Yeah, thank you, correction. I read over that.
Walked so Y could ride.
How does Celtic drink all that regular Pepsi and not gain any weight? I actually count my calories. There's a great... Let's do an ad plug, shall we? I use this great app called Lose It. If I can... Camera, work with me here.
That was a good app.
It's a great app.
Yeah. Here's your unsolicited dieting advice, or not really dieting, but like your body's constantly burning calories, right? Just your metabolism does that, and when you work out, you burn more and more. So if you count your calories and you are simply intaking less than you are burning, you will slowly lose weight.
Like if I can show you guys my weekly...
Not that there's a quick way to lose weight without starving yourself.
It tells you basically how much I've had this week to eat. Red is when I've gone over. I'm currently about 148 calories over for this week, and that's literally all thanks to Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
You can see it there.
And also, I just always dissuade people from drinking soda in general, but hey, I can't control what people...
Yeah, and I try to limit myself to 2 or 3 Pepsis a day. When you get down to it, I can imbibe about... And the thing is, I always have mine set to lose weight, so I always eat less. Because if I had it to sustain weight, I would have a calorie allowance of about 2,300 calories. But I set it to lose weight, so I'm always trying to aim for lower. And even if I overshoot by like 500 calories, I'm not going to gain any weight. So it's like I give myself a lot of buffer room, but I always try to keep myself kind of lower.
This guy is right though. Liquid calories are a waste. But I'm saying that as someone who drinks exclusively like water and tea, and sometimes milk.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with you. I'm at this point I've come to the terms that it's not going to be heroin, cocaine, marijuana, any other possible addictive substance, nicotine, beer. It's Pepsi. I am addicted to Pepsi.
Is diet just too different? Like, is the taste too different?
Oh man, it's bitter on my tongue. Well, and I like not bitter in the good way. I like bitter things, but no, it leaves a terrible aftertaste. I don't know. There's just something about it that I feel like there's a way to solve that problem, but I don't know what it is. But you guys came here for
Make
writing
your own
advice.
Pepsi.
You guys came here for writing advice. Let's get back to it.
Dude, I'm always giving unsolicited health advice.
It's good advice. She glanced back to Cinder, absent-mindedly clawing marks into the window, lost deep in thought. Looking back at Leviathan, she spotted what she'd been looking for. Comma. Slowly opening the oily membrane of the beast's skin. Slowly opening. I think then you want a comma there. The oily membrane of the beast's... That's possessive. You need an apostrophe there. Beast's skin had parted, revealing rows of teeth adorning the fleshy portal, which had opened to greet her. I feel like this could be a little bit better. Slowly opening, the oily member of the beast's skin had parted, revealing rows of teeth adorning the fleshy portal. A fleshy portal, I think, is probably a better phrasing there. A fleshy portal which had opened to greet her. Let's see, adorning a fleshy portal, opening to greet her, right? Revealing rows of teeth adorning a fleshy portal which. A fleshy portal opening to greet her. No, which had opened. It's fine.
Okay. I don't want to take this back to health, but a friend of mine just sent me chocolate Oreo shake from Baskin Robbins, large, calories 2,600, calories from fat 1,220, total fat 135 grams, 208 daily percent, 59 grams saturated fat, 2.5 grams trans fat, 185 milligrams cholesterol, 1,770 milligrams of sodium, 333 carbs, 263 grams of sugar, and 38 grams of protein.
Well, at least there's some protein in there, but holy shit!
I don't think that protein is worth it.
It's not! I mean, like that is the thing you have before you die. Is that
Yeah, that is the only time it is acceptable to have something like that.
Well, a large especially. Like, you would be surprised at how quickly, like, when I was going out and, like, I look back at myself as a kid where I kept getting, like, larges at, like, restaurants and such. I used to be 180 pounds. I am 5'6".
100 and what?
180 pounds.
100 and what?
180. I am currently between 155 and 160. I've lost 20 pounds.
That's a normal weight.
Yeah, but, like, I used to be 20 pounds heavier. And, like, I look back on that. Actually, I used to be, like, almost 190. I look back on that, and I realized, like, these larges, like, one Pepsi can is 150 calories. When you take that up, that's almost a tenth of my daily caloric intake. Almost a tenth. And I usually have 2 of these. So I basically eat up 2/10 of my caloric, 1/5 of my calorie count goes to Pepsi. A large at most restaurants is like 450 calories. It's ridiculous.
Oh, someone asked if I'm in the Discord. I've decided to, for mental health reasons, take a small break from the Discord. I don't know when I'll be back. Probably after I'm done with my semester. But if you could DM me on Discord.
You're 5'7" and I'm 150. No, son, you're skinny. You're 150 pounds and an inch taller than me. That's because, like, the weight, the approximate weight for someone, it increases almost exponentially at times. Like, because like I have a friend who's about 6 foot tall, and his healthy weight is like 210. It's ridiculous. Although I have another friend.
This is now a health stream.
Yeah, this is now a health stream.
Health stream.
Okay.
Yeah, let's move on.
Yeah, let's move on.
Yes, Guy, you could DM me after the stream.
Yeah. Banking to her right, she descended into the abominable mockery of human technology. A deep crimson glow washing over the cockpit as she deftly brought the craft to a halt. Let's give another paragraph break here. Hovering down onto the fleshy pad, she felt a slight yielding sensation as the landing gear stuck to the gummy floor. A hiss from behind caught her attention. The door was opened almost immediately, and she barely caught Cinder's back as she exited the craft. Disentangling herself from the cramped cockpit, she followed suit after her companion. Stepping foot onto the bio ship, Neo looked around at what seemed to be a vast hall or fleshy chamber. She shuddered slightly as it reminded her of what a stomach looked like. You want a period there. She shuddered slightly as it reminded her of what a stomach looked like and what fate had befallen ... Okay, using smart ellipse use there.
For the extreme intimidation of the text, this isn't poorly written. Like the grammar's off and the formatting's off.
Yeah, there's a few. It needs some work. Needs a little TLC, but what's here incredibly workable. Yeah, so like I hope you don't think this is any kind of detriment. This is actually fairly workable as a piece in its own, and you're actually providing a great moment where I can actually like show people how to go about editing their work and how to kind of look for things. Her musings were broken when a wet you keep using were instead of where instead of were broken by a wet noise behind. I guess behind her. Period. Looking back, she saw the great maw that had accepted them. Was now closing. It was now closing, sealed by a black membrane that had hidden their entrance. Sealed by the black membrane that had hidden their entrance. There was no backing out. She thought to herself as she followed Cinder. A position that irked her somewhat, as it was her skill. It was her skill that salvaged the mission. I don't know, like that doesn't flow quite well. It feels like it wants to be part of the previous sentence, but it doesn't match the previous sentence. Like, there was no backing out, she thought to herself as she followed Cinder. A position that, I guess maybe a semicolon would work there. A position that irked her somewhat, as it was her skill that salvaged the mission.
I like that Chad is really amused with the idea of, like, the goo everywhere.
Oh, really?
Grim goo.
Yeah, like...
Salem's ooey gooey jacuzzi.
I am someone that appreciates good, like alien horror and, like, body horror stuff. I just watched the other night, with Toppy, Tetsuo the Iron Man, which is a Japanese horror film from, like, 1989. And, admittedly, the film didn't live up to being really all that great, but its effects were phenomenal. It looked just absolutely horrific, and it was great. Got like gooey mechanical stuff going on all over the place. Oh, it's great.
I always like when like I remember when I used to watch a lot of Red Letter Media, and they'd like have these B movies, and the B movies that have no budget, and they're still managing to come up with these very creative special effects for things that look like guts and goo and.
Oh yeah, the channel Dead Meat does a thing called Kill Count, where it's all about counting the kills and your favorite horror movies. And if you're interested in like gore and practical effects and all that kind of stuff, their most recent work over the last 2 years, I want to say, has really been good at going behind the scenes in a lot of these films and covering them and being like, yeah, this is how they did this effect. This is how they did this effect. And like, this is how they went through it and all the different work they did. And it was really great to understand that stuff. There's also behind the scenes featurettes of like The Thing are wonderful. Just great scenes.
Hold on, I'm gonna freak out about chemistry for a second here. What little I know, because Rachel Muertos goes, caffeine is CHH10N4O2, while cocaine is C17H21NO4. Those are extremely different things. Most things are made out of those few elements.
Yeah, like that's like just because they
Also,
have
those are different like groups.
yeah, just because they have slightly similar like they have like the same three elements in them does not mean they're the same thing. Uh, for example, I have a friend who has ADHD medication that's basically meth, but it's not meth because it's been done differently.
Yeah, amphetamines
Yeah. Let's see.
are different than methamphetamines.
Yes. However, comma, those thoughts quickly left her when she followed Cinder's gaze to an ivory throne. Or was it bone? Isn't ivory just bone?
Yeah, it is. It's tusk.
It's tusk. Uh, maybe like actually it would be kind of fun to show like Neo's lack of knowledge here and just be like, wait, isn't
Remember, Neo's
ivory
backstory
bone?
is fair game, so you could just assume anything about her.
It's just like, wait, isn't ivory bone? She didn't know. It turned to face them, rotating slowly yet purposely.
Stop giving Neo characterization. That's illegal.
Shit. Slowly yet purposely revealing a figure that she couldn't comprehend. It was like some perversion of humanity itself. A figure of you're using humanity twice here, and it's not really poetic rhyming here. It's not. So it's like it was a perversion of humanity itself. A figure of humanity mockingly carved from the animalistic hatred of the grim.
A figure mockingly carved. You could just
Yeah.
make it less wordy.
A figure mockingly carved from the animalistic hatred of the grim, sitting there as if royalty regarding as if royalty. I think it's comma as if royalty comma. Is that right? Sitting there as if royalty regarding. No, I think it's sitting there as if royalty, comma, regarding the two with barely concealed disdain and amusement. As if we were. Oh, you suddenly. You can't just perspective change. It's not we, it's they. That's what you want. As if they were a child making some funny mistake. Cinder fell to her knees. Her face towards the ground. Full of an emotion Neo had never seen before. This is where a semicolon. Or it is a colon, right? Humility. And prostrate on the ground. Not and. You want prostrated on the ground. Maybe not even on the ground, just prostrated. Cinder held up the relic.
Well, prostrated, it suggests that you are on the ground. Yeah. There's a lot of kind of like redundant writing in here where you really look at the definition of words before you start adding words to those words.
Yo, dog, I heard you loved words, so I added some words to your words.
Damn, meme.
That's an old meme, yeah. So you've returned at last. Oh, let me make sure I scroll down so people can see it. Oh, I can't scroll down any further. Oops. Well, wish I could show you that bottom, but I can't. Not easily, at least. So yes, that was. Thank you, Apocalyptic Chaos. You gotta work on some of your grammar, some of your choice of words, but overall, I think you had a very strong, vivid description here. Now, as an intro, as an entrance to the season, it's not bad. I mean, typically, in the beginning, the first paragraph is usually the most integral, and your first paragraph here is pretty strong. It's not the strongest it probably could be. I usually like to make it very intense, but you do a close enough job of doing that with like the writhing description and all that such. Very good. Very good work. The next one is the anonymous guy on Twitter, and I will pull up my Twitter images. There we go. Okay. So, do you want to take this one? I don't know like how long the other ones are. I want to make sure that we We both get equal amount.
Yeah, which one is this?
This is the Twitter one by anonymous guy.
Okay. I like how he does it on Twitter. It's just like unique. I don't know.
I mean, it stands out.
Twitter is blocked on this browser for me, just for calm reasons. A Grim Introduction by A.L. Burden. I like Burden. It's like a very good author last name.
I had a D&D character named Burton. He was fun.
It's a snowboarding company. Anyway. Okay, first of all, it's Salem, not Salam, like salami, but if you let me call her Salami.
Go for it.
Salami watched as the airship plummeted from Atlas. Hazel joins her. What's happening? Quimois has returned. A cloud of black dust flies towards them, and after a few minutes, and forms a person in grim armor. They kneel. I feel like there's probably a nicer way to say that.
I'd say a cloud of black dust flies towards them. Minutes pass, and a cloud of black dust. Minutes pass, and a cloud of black dust flies towards them, forming a person in grim armor. Forming a suit of grim armor in the shape of a person.
A suit of grim armor, or like a figure clad in grim armor. I just think there's a way to say it that like hits harder.
Yeah, like that's the thing. Like you'll learn that sometimes you can write things that are basically quote unquote correct, but they have no impact. So like a person in grim armor is just sort of like, oh, he is a person and he is wearing grim armor. It's like, okay. Meanwhile, it's like the shadows melted away. Peeling back over sinuous bone and intricately carved red cracks. The wisps of blackness formed intricate fingers and toes, and like you can go into like how it's just like you can describe how it forms into a person, and that gets people involved. You know, and at the end, the grim knight stood. Something like that. You okay there, Molly?
Yeah, I'm just a little. You know when people start typing that like a fucking like 14-year-old Tumblr user way, but they're like grown adults.
Yeah.
Guys, don't talk. Never do that. And if you know someone who does that, just get away.
If you can backslap them, do in Minecraft.
In Minecraft. We do not advocate violence on this channel. Anyway. Welcome back, Grimoire. How did it go? Grimoire presented her bloody sword. Excellent. I like that as an opening concept that like, again, you're like in media res, something has happened, and now we're getting the aftermath of it.
Yeah. It's always, I always find that very, very, because like, oh, what the hell's going on there? I had a Ruby story that I wanted to do for... I think I mentioned this a couple of times before, that I've wanted to do a Ruby spin-off if I ever got onto the actual show proper. And the opening scene I had planned for that was something that would never actually come up until like season 3 of the story, or book 3, or whatever it was going to be. But the opening scene was two guys in armor, very like kind of disguised armor, in the middle of sort of like a desolate plain, and they're walking through the remnants of a battle. And at the very end of the battle, at the very end of the battlefield, there's just this mound where all of Team Ruby and Juniper's weapons have been stacked and piled, and like, or like stabbed into the ground, whatever, basically implying a burial mound. And the characters just briefly like look at each other, throw Crescent Rose onto the pile, and then walk away. And I'm just like, I wanted to kind of like, wait, well, what the hell? Is all Team Ruby dead? What's going on here? And you wouldn't find out what the hell was going on there for like another 2 or 3, books type deal. Like it would basically like build to that point.
Yeah. But anonymous guy said it was his autocorrect. It autocorrected it to salam, like the Arabic word for hello.
Yeah, like autocorrect is only your friend if it's things that are that are basically
Not a
normal,
real.
that are real. If they're not real, you're gonna have to add them to your dictionary or otherwise just ignore them. Live with the
Dude,
squiggles.
I love when I'm writing Three Houses fan fiction. I just get to see all the ways that Edelgard gets fucked up by spell check.
Oh God, that I hate that name so much. Edelgard is such a stupid name.
It's a real name. That's the weird part.
I don't care. It's a
Old,
stupid. Your
old
name is
dramatic.
stupid.
By the way, if any, I, if anybody ever tries talking to me about Smash Bros, which I don't know anything about, all I know is that I'm gonna call edge guarding Edelgarding for the rest of my life.
Oh God. Okay, so let's continue here.
All right. Yang and the others huddled together in the airship as Maria flew toward Mistral. Hey, John, Maria called. Come, or hey, John, Maria called. Come look at this. I don't know how she talks. I don't listen to anything she says.
She talks sort of
Yang
like a
gives
normal
them
old lady.
Oh, I'm an old lady. Yang gives them a quick glance before returning her attention to Blake. A moment later, I missed a period is missed, but the capital's there. That's interesting. She hears glass shuddering and sees a woman dressed in grim-like armor land in front of her. All at once, the team descended on their attacker as she unsheathed her sword. She blocks a strike from Ren as she kicked Yang away. I think that could be more intense.
This is very quickly becoming hard to follow.
Yeah. She's thrown off with ease. There's a lot of like the subject verb object thing going on here.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh God.
So I like this first part, but it's the second part that's not really gripping because I just don't really know what's happening.
Yeah. You fight scenes. Did we already do fight scene choreography? I think that was one of our subjects, wasn't it? It was the John Wick one that we came up from Frontier. Was writing that fight scene.
The textbook fight scene.
Yeah, the fight scenes are very difficult to get right because you're trying to basically depict a space and make sure the reader knows where everyone is at any one given time. And it's very difficult to convey that. Right here, I have no idea what even the area looks like. Like, I have no concept of what the inside of this thing looks like beyond what I know from the show itself. If I were reading this raw, I would have no idea what's going
on. Let's see. So there's the fight.
I mean, I think this basically...
I'm just wondering if I should, like, read the rest of this, or...
I'm looking at it, and I'm not being gripped, which is a problem, because the first section had a gripping moment, but then, like, you immediately jump into the event that preceded it, and that's not...
It's just tough, like it's tough to follow, as we said.
Yeah, you immediately follow it with something that's just very difficult to keep track of. Also, I realize my formatting for Twitter is just terrible. I unfortunately had to cut a really good joke due to the word count. I don't think that would have saved this.
Sorry, dude.
Yeah,
we don't want to be mean.
We're keep in mind we're not hating on you. We're being harsh.
Yeah.
Because we care. This is honestly
you're one of our biggest like you've probably sent the most super chats of everyone. You're a great presence to have in the comments. We do not hold any ill will. It's just
like this section, this very first section here, these what 6-7 lines, workable, very workable. Like they're very rough, but they're workable. Immediately after that, I'm completely lost. Like you have all these different characters that are all together flying towards Mistral, I guess.
Someone in the comments mentioned Brandon Sanderson's videos. Those are really good videos. Brandon Sanderson's an excellent author. He just kind of gets it.
Brandon Sanderson terrifies me and makes me jealous and angry. That man that man is just doesn't stop. He takes breaks from writing to write more books.
He's very Stephen King about things.
No, Stephen King, I don't think, because here's the thing, Stephen King could do that on a crack binge, all right? Like on a cocaine binge. That's how Stephen King got his power, all right? Brandon Sanderson, I swear, sold his soul to the devil for the power that he has in writing. Ah, shit, my tummy.
I mean, I've never read his books, but my friend, it's his favorite author, and he tells me all about, like, he'll show me, like, excerpts, and the way that he's able to make, like, every character eventually interesting is really, really cool. And he also takes a lot of time to flesh out villains and side characters,
World
and then
building.
save things for later.
The only thing I understand is he has a fairly basic prose, if I understand it correctly, which, I mean, probably explains why he writes so fast, but you don't need a super detailed prose. You don't need a lot of flowery language to make things work. I just prefer my things.
He doesn't need to rely on it, which is now that doesn't mean that it's okay to do everything like plain and subject verb object. Like, it's important to keep.
I'm trying to think of like
keep things.
If writing,
like, it's important to keep things interesting, but you don't want it. But you shouldn't need to lean on making it sound like poetry.
If writing is a sandwich, his prose I would say is more like the sauce, like that goes on a sandwich. Like he's using mayonnaise. Very basic, but it's effective. It oils the sandwich properly. Whereas I prefer something like honey mustard. I'm more of a honey mustard kind of guy on my sandwiches. But he's an expert at making. He has a sandwich that has very nice bread, not super nice, but nice enough bread, and a lot of densely packed meat. I might come up with a better analogy later.
Wow, Sanderson does a weekly writing podcast. What are we doing?
What?
It's just getting like, you're like, huh? Why am I here?
God damn it! No wonder we're not getting enough viewers.
Well, we're also not nearly that good. He has some really interesting topics too.
No. We are that good. We're just not published as much yet.
I remember, like, once he posted, like, I saw this video. It was like how to write characters with different ideas than you. Characters smarter than you. I love Floof jokes about this with us, that like sometimes people will write characters smarter than them as though they are wizards.
Yeah. Like talking about how Sherlock works. Sorry, anonymous guy. We're probably not getting back to the rest of this. But like we had like this entire copy pasta we found about how people write characters that are smarter than them as wizards, and like explaining how Sherlock works. Where like if who was the character? Was it No Country for Old Men, or was it There Will Be Blood? I think it was No Country for Old Men. How the villain needed to kill 3 people in a room. So what he did is he rented out like the hotel room next door to that hotel room, and learned every nook and cranny of that hotel room, looking for weaknesses to exploit, and then exploited them in order to kill those people. Meanwhile, the way Sherlock would have killed those people is that he would have snuck in using a trap door that was secretly in the room that no one knew about, and he would have killed the first guy by throwing a peanut into his throat, knowing explicitly that he had a peanut allergy, from a dartboard that had a picture of who was Alexander. Who was the guy that invented peanut butter? What's his name? I mean, basically, it was this ludicrously like Rube Goldberg machine level of like intricacy. Where at the very end, it turned out that he wasn't trying to kill 3 people. He was trying to kill 2 people, and he tore off them. It turns out the third person was in fact Sherlock, and the Sherlock that entered the room through the secret portal was in fact Moriarty, who was trying to kill these 2 people. But it turns out those people didn't actually die because they were undercover agents that Sherlock had put in place to catch Moriarty. It's it's literally just adding complexity instead of adding intelligence. if that makes any sense.
Yeah. Anyway, what's next on
Wait, so
our
that the fight scene is only one paragraph. You can skip that.
okay.
So let's see. Maria, who shot my console? Maria barked. Hold on. Let me go to the.
Who shot my...
Yeah.
I can't do the voice. As everyone fought to keep their balance, Grimoire snatched her mask with a simple touch. The door flew, and with a simple touch, the door flew off. Ruby, thinking quickly, launched herself at Grimoire, tackling her out of the ship. Yang reached out. Yang awoke, bleary-eyed, to the sight of Ruby's red cloak and Grimoire mid-fight. So Yang's falling unconscious.
Yeah. I'm gonna. I don't think it's gonna hold up, dude. This is already. You're already, because part of it is like you don't. There are sentences that kind of carry into one another. Like as everyone fought to keep their balance, Grimoire snatched her mask, and with a simple touch, the door flew off. Who's touching what? What was it, grabbing her mask? But like, I'm already lost in here. Ruby thinking quickly launched herself at Grimoire, tackling her out of the ship. That makes some sense. I don't know, man. You've lost us. That's just the thing.
Sorry. Again. That isn't an attack on you. It's not an attack on Titan. We are just a little lost.
Yeah, I highly recommend reading, and please keep submitting to us, because like I would love to see this, and then I would love to see something later on where you just blow us out of the water, where like, oh my god, you've improved so much, and I've seen that happen, and it's incredible when it happens,
nice.
And I want that for you. So this next one is who? Who is it?
Serox.
Serox. Oh, I need to adjust back to doc capture. Okay. Should I or should you?
This is not a Shingeki no Kyojin.
The original version was...
Every time I see like phrases like burger no lettuce, I just read it as an anime title.
I mean, Anonymous Guy, I get that you didn't want to keep it super long. There was a lot of issues with it beyond length. I don't think length would have necessarily hurt it in that circumstance. Anime Guy, I'll be back. I have to do something real quick. Okay, well, go take care of your thing. That's fine. Okay, so we have this from Serox, Revenant, Chapter 1, Incarnation. So, you want me to read this? I can take it? Or do you want to read it?
I got it.
Okay.
This won't make up for what you did to her. Fantastic opening line, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's great.
That was his first thought on seeing the score of his profile tick up higher. Well, that particular bit of self-criticism hadn't reared its ugly head in a while. Of course, giving tech advice to strangers couldn't compare. Even if people on the internet thought so highly of him to grant him the power to edit other people's posts for clarity and readability. Nobody that knew him in real life would dare to give him that much power. Is that power used twice? Yeah, like I see what you're trying to say. Like you used power twice in two sentences in a row. Nearly 3 years of experience, his manager would say. Can't trust a rookie like that with facing the public. To his parents, sitting in front of a computer all day was child's play, not real work. Doesn't matter if he was already making as much money of either of them 20 years into their careers. His old friends, well, they'd be calling him an irresponsible idiot. They'd have much harsher words were he to ever meet them again. But he pushed those thoughts down for now. It was far too late for apologies or regrets. Almost 2 a.m. That bug had taken far longer than he expected. At first, it looked like the question asker faced the same problem one of his colleagues had mentioned last week. Whether he realized otherwise, giving up would have just been an hour wasted. A message popped up on the screen. Just a quick thank you notice, but it still put a smile on his face. He'd got more appreciation during 2 months on the site than ever in his job. Maybe he'd apply at smaller companies where he'd have more contact with the clients. Interesting. So is he like a hacker? Is that what it is?
Maybe. This is it's got me intrigued. That's one way to get people gripped, is to intrigue them. It's just be like,
Fair warning, English isn't my native language. Dude, English isn't your native language?
this is pretty good.
Yeah. Where are you from, by the way? Um, Thoughts for tomorrow. He extended his hunched over back and yawned, tired and clumsy as he almost threw the dinner plate off his desk in doing so. It shouldn't be in that spot, but he'd have to clean it and the other pile before putting it in the cupboard. He couldn't afford to push sleep back even further not like it would stand out in the mess that was his apartment. I think that could be cleaned up a little.
Yeah,
Like it's just a little bit awkward, but
it feels like you can have a
the
couple
imagery's
commas,
good.
a couple semicolons in there. It feels like you could like thoughts for tomorrow. He extended his hunched over back and yawned. Yeah, tired and clumsy. It shouldn't be in that spot. No, I think it. Yeah, I think you're right. A little bit of cleaning, but overall, it's good.
Yeah. The anime guy podcast says, "Please don't skip mine." What did you like? Send it to us as like what screen name did you use? Because I don't know if we got it.
Anime AK. I think we have.
Oh, okay.
Check. Oh, we. Don't.
It was more obvious he wouldn't wake up early enough to still have breakfast before work. So be it. He had helped someone, and the day couldn't be considered wasted. He put on some music at a low volume and went to bed. The drums beat heavy, and two melodic guitars joined as the singer recounted a great tale of warriors and dragons. Power rock. It was an old song, so familiar he could recount every line, even as his consciousness began to drift away. He was looking forward to the band's new album at the end of the year, a concept album telling yet another epic fantasy tale. Far too many of those in the genre, but people still bought them, and he was no different. The next song played by another band, but of the same subject. The drums thrashed more aggressively than before as the choir lamented lives lost in war. They sang of dark clouds swallowing the sky and the stench of fire in the air. Yeah, power metal. All right, there we go. Fighter starts into battle.
What is that series? They did like the Bifrost Express and the Bifrost incident is Lovecraftian rock opera. What is the band's name? Is it the Mechanisms? Is that the band? Incident. Yeah, the Mechanisms. I think that's what the band's name is. Is it the Mechanisms? Is it the Bifrost incident? That sort of thing. There's something over Camelot, which is like all about like Camelot being a space station. Okay. Oh, well, continue, please. I didn't
Anyway.
interrupt.
Fighters charged into battle and his heart beat faster with every step. Guitars howled and steel clashed on steel. He cut down foe after foe as the taste of iron gathered on his tongue. There seemed to be no end to them. Where were the relief forces? The mercenary felt so tired, but he pushed on regardless. For the first time in this pathetic life of his, there was something beyond golden glory, a family, a purpose. His body begged for relief, so leaning upon his broken blade, he stole a brief moment of rest. Clouds parted and moonlight washed over him. He raised his gaze to the heavens and beheld their orphan star one last time as the tide of red eyes grew beneath the shade of the trees. He took a deep breath and readied himself. The cold mountain air burned in his lungs. Mavros faced the darkness, sword in hand. So is it like he's listening to the song and he's kind of like in it, you know? I think that's what's going on.
Yeah, is he like a streamer? Like is that what this is? Like something a streamer or like a pro player? Like because we thought he might have been a hacker, but like maybe like he's just like a let's player or not let's player, a professional game player. You know, that kind of stuff.
It is interesting because you're wondering like what is this, you know? Not in the like I have no idea what's going on way, but in the like, oh, there's like hints. Is he this? Is he that?
Yeah, and as you add the hints, it builds up in your head what it is. It's like every opening is a game of like 20 questions, in a sense, where you're just sort of like, okay, and at some point you have to like, after about 20 questions, you need to have a damned answer. Just depends how long you stretch out the 20 questions.
Yeah, that's an interesting way to put it.
Ah,
Good night.
thank you. Okay. The next one is, who is it by? I'm asking you because I need to blow my nose.
It's a Ruby fanfic, and the MC is getting isekai'd into Remnant. That is not what I was going to guess, but okay.
Okay, yeah, that's... Huh. All right, well, I mean, it was interesting. I'll take that. Isekai are interesting, man. I love that stuff. Now, this is from William Wimser, also known as Frontier, who has done wonderful work in the past. So let's just jump into this.
Let's not dump into this.
Behold Atlas, the greatest kingdom in all the world. An epitaph for Mantle, author unknown. You probably could have started with a stronger quote. Feels like you could make that a little more poetic. I always find like poetic quotes to be more interesting.
I like it in the context that it's this very simple thing, but then an epitaph for Mantle, like
that is the interesting part. That is an interesting part. For those of you who don't know, an epitaph is a how is it an epitaph described?
Well, an epitaph is two things. One, it's a nickname, but then it's also like something you put on a gravestone.
Yeah. So
you don't need to answer the 20 questions. Just do a World of Remnant 3 seasons in. Yes, great writing advice, Jay.
Oh Lord. What I was going to say with it is the epitaph for Mantle. Oh yeah, something catchy at the beginning is always good. Like, rip and tear until it is done. Like, the opening for frickin' Doom Eternal is amazing. I like to the point where I actually don't care that they don't explain how you got where you are after the first after Doom 2016. Like, that is an impressive opening. Okay.
We are JoJo fans. We know what an epitaph is. No, you don't. Stop.
Stop.
I don't have anything against JoJo. I do. I listen to a lot of classic rock, and you guys have ruined the comments. In all of them. Every single one I look at, it could be like some obscure like Billy Joel song, and they're like, this reminds me of King Crimson.
Oh Lord. I'm not a fan of JoJo's. I just can't get into the art style, and like I think it's way overhyped. Just I don't know. I'm not a JoJo's. It was the largest Grimm swarm ever beheld in history, larger than the one which had overrun Beacon, than any of the countless swarms formed during the Great War, larger than those mystical swarms spoken of only in fairy tales, all paled in comparison to what now stood arrayed against the kingdom of Atlas. It stretched across the tundra in every direction, pack upon pack of those monsters in near constant motion about one another.
Roll credits.
Well, what I like about this is, like, even if you're new to Ruby coming into this, like, this paints a very striking image very quickly, because you're like, oh, Grimm must be some sort of monster if, like, there's packs of them. There's like, well, what are these Grimm? Like, even if you don't know what a Grimm is, you get the implication, oh shit, this is a big deal.
I just like it when they use the word tundra.
Oh, tundra is a wonderful word. I love it.
You know, that's like our thing.
It's
anyway.
Stretched across the tundra in every direction, pack upon pack of monsters in near constant motion about one another. Ursas, Beowulfs, Creeps, and Sabers in the thousands, alongside the larger forms of Deathstalkers, Megaliths, and Sentinels. Islands in a flowing sea of teeth and shadow. Even the air swarmed above swarmed, flocks of nevermores, griffins and lancers circling like carrion birds awaiting the slaughter. They hissed and shrieked and snarled endlessly, working themselves up into a frenzy before the city walls. They were drawn to them, able to sense the powerful swell of emotion beyond. The anxiety, the anger, the thin veil of hatred running through the rich tapestry of negativity. The swarm could practically smell the fear that lingered behind those walls, and they wanted it all. Damn, man! This is good. Indeed, the defenders stood upon the bulwark. Were afraid, but not one of these. Not of these creatures. These creatures, Ursa, Saber, Nevermore, were all comforting in a way. Dangerous, yes. Worrying, most certainly. But they were at least known quantities. Things their ancestors had fought and studied for generations. The defenders knew them, understood them, had long ago reduced them to the stuff of bedtime fairy tales, as similar to their eyes as ice and snow. It was the others, the unfamiliar ones, that scared them. Most Grimm held at least the semblance of the natural. Limbs and wings and claws and eyes, corrupted in evil perhaps, but at least darkly reflective of something familiar. These new things held no such qualities. While unmistakably creatures of Grimm, their shapes were rigid and angular, not produced but sculpted, created by hand and wielding terrible intent. Long creatures covered in bone plates, the size of a tank, and about as agile. Glacially slow and cumbersome, useless for hunting but perfect for battering down walls of stone and metal. Abominations of melded spikes, tendrils, faces, and shadow, smashed together at random, lacking the elegance but brimming with violence and brutality, just barely held in check. Rail-thin creatures of bone and sinew that folded back on themselves into snarls of razors and thorns, snapping and screeching.
We don't use the word sinew enough.
It's a great word. No one dared guess what they were for. Silent things hidden deep in the swarm, things that could almost pass for human in the instant before they struck. High above sat the greatest and most terrible of them all, an enormous beast that rivaled Atlas itself in scale, wreathed in an unnatural shroud of black and seething red. Hidden within the storm, its true form could only be glimpsed pieces. A broken mosaic of god, monster, and legend. It was a sight unfathomable, like a dream or a nightmare, or indeed like a fairy tale. The ancient tale of vast forces of darkness gathering to devour those few forces of light, and good with the courage to stand up to them. An old tale, among the very oldest, one in which those behind the wall took some comfort. After all, everyone knew that fairy tales always ended happily ever after. Frontier, how do you do this, man? Why are you writing to us? Publish some books. If you've already published, tell us what you've written, man. This is like if we were holding a weightlifting class and this dude just comes in here and benches 220 and leaves. No, he benches the bench.
It's not that heavy.
With the weights on it.
Oh, yeah, the whole thing. Yeah,
sure. That's not only impressive from a strength perspective, but from the fact he could balance it. Yeah.
I have literally only one complaint, which is that it doesn't feel like an opening, because it ends with N.
Yeah, it feels more like a short story.
Yeah, which again, this is fantastic.
Yeah. But I could see this flowing right into that one about Neo and Cinder. I think that would be
you could start. You know what? I think any RWBY fanfic can start with this. Just all of them, even the ones that are about intense Blake and Yang BDSM or something. You can just throw this at the beginning.
Yang and Blake BDSM, ASMR. What other weird tags can we add to it? I'll go just go down the list, and then it opens with, "It was the largest Grimm ever beheld in history." It's
Bumblebee fan ASMR.
There was
you made it clear that you already want to kill minorities because you don't like Bumblebee. So why don't you?
That's Bumblebee ASMR.
There was a guy that I can't remember his channel. I actually think he's actually kind of annoying, but he did trying to explain the entire storyline of Kingdom Hearts, but he also did one where it's the horror writer who tried to become a romance writer, and he wrote the Death Blimp and Death Blimp 2, where it was this evil blimp that was sentient and killed people, and he was getting through his steamy romantic moment, and then halfway through it's just and then crashing through the wall was Death Blimp Jr. coming to slaughter them all. Just It was just what? The guy couldn't help himself. It's great. Yeah, but thanks, Frontier. That was jaw dropping.
Who's next?
The next up is the second last because we actually had the Anime AK gave his because he does that thing where it's stored all in one document and we keep forgetting about that, and I feel bad about forgetting about that.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to scroll down to where his new story is. He has added a lot to these stories.
At least he's writing.
Yeah, number 4, somewhere in Mr. Okay. Now, but the next one we actually have is by, where's the pin? JJ the Memelin. And I'll let you...
Does JJ, submitted before?
I don't know. I don't think so, but maybe. I don't keep lists. Okay.
See, a large teenager shoved a boy roughly... Actually, hold on a second.
Are you getting a snack?
No, it's a cough drop.
Good show.
A large teenager shoved a boy roughly against the brick and mortar of the alleyway building.
Already going to stop you there for the starting thing. A good place not to start is to describe someone. Like, especially if it's a very bland description. A large teenager. Oh, wow. He is so big. Look at that large teenager. No enthusiasm. Like, if you wanted to say...
You can say, like, hulking.
Well, no, it's like... I try to start in an immediacy sense. So like a large teenager shoved, just say that this person was shoved against it, or try and tell it from their perspective. Who is more interesting to tell the perspective from? So he was shoved against the wall. So just starting out with like his back hit the wall. And that right there already sets up oh, okay, what's going on here? Why is his back hitting a wall? Is he being attacked? Is he running from something? He's scrambling at it? Like, what's going on? Immediately, just by saying those words, you create the question in the head that keeps the reader coming.
Also, this is small, but the term brick and mortar isn't used like this. Brick and mortar refers to, like, if you have a hot dog cart and then you turned it into a restaurant, you've turned it into a brick and mortar establishment. Or if you do something online and then you make it into, like it refers to you having a physical place.
This can work fine because it's literally just flatly descriptive. The only problem is that you could see it confusing people, but it's like there are bricks and there is mortar between the bricks, so it's like that works. It works fine. But I see your point. You make a legitimate point that you'll get some confusion from the reader.
The rhythmic steps of the post-work traffic disguise the pain and the desperate screams of two kids in...
Oh, that's not a good sign.
Is there a word missing?
I think there's a word missing.
Brick and mortar torture BMT. Oh, this comment section.
What's BMT?
Like... I'm not going to say it live on stream.
Bavarian
It's brick and mortar torture. He's making a parody on something.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. Come on, man, fight back, I guess. All right, let's continue.
Come on, man, fight back. Your kind's supposed to be strong, right? Fight back, why don't you? Oh, is he like... Fight back, why don't you? I don't know.
It should be
a fist smash.
Should be a capital A.
From New York. Welcome to Yonkers. Fight back. Why don't you? A fist smashed into the boy's abdomen. A sputtered gasp escaped his lips as he almost crumpled to the ground, the young man's sudden grasp on his shirt keeping him standing. Please stop. My brother didn't do anything to you, an even younger boy shouted desperately. Someone, please help. His cries were trampled out, but
there's a lot of what was he, noun, verb, object, or
Subject, verb, verb,
a
object.
lot of that going on here. You all right there? You just chilling back with Tiny Weiss and Mini Morn?
I'm just chilling back. His
Please-
cries were trampled out by the noise of the busy streets. The few onlookers who heard him only gave passing glances to the scuffle, all of them keeping on their way. The two other teenagers tightened their grip on the young boy as he struggled to race towards his brother's side. It's the New York accent. Sage. Yeah, guys, it's Sage. The big one sighed. Bumping into me and not even giving me a full apology is enough for me. Turned his attention back to the kid he had pinned to the wall. Plus, I don't need a reason to beat you two tattooed freaks into the dirt anyway. Now come on and give me a fight, else I'll start beating on your baby bro over there. You don't want me to do that, do ya?
Yeah. So, I mean, like already, I'm not super invested. I don't feel super invested in this. How are you feeling, Molly?
I mean, not like I don't know what's special about this scene. Obviously, there's a dude beating two boys, but like a bully and kid situation. But like I don't have a reason to care about what's going on.
Yeah, and I get the feeling because it's the vigilante that there's going to be someone that jumps in to save them. I get that's how it's going to be. So I'm not entirely sure. I'm not entirely sure how this works out. It's weak from a concept standing, in that it doesn't feel like there's much punch to what's happening. Ironically, there's a lot of punches being thrown, not a lot of them landing. And honestly, starting with someone getting mugged or attacked is a fairly weak way to introduce a character.
You're jumping into the action, but I also don't know who's like important in this.
Yeah, because like jumping straight into the action helps when you have a very clear perspective that it's written from. So I don't know how to exactly. I'm at the big one's side. I'm gonna try and read ahead a little bit here. Crouch tremble on the street of your onlookers heard him. Big one's side bumping into me. Guess we're really at hand. I'll beat your ass from here to the mines if you touch them. Pig face piece of dog crap. Let's see if you can runt.
You know what? You could cut out this like entire part. Begin like cut out from a large teenager to his tormentor and just start on, I'll beat your ass from here to the mines if you touch him.
Yeah, and then you could have like a brief little thing catching us up if you want. You can have a thing that catches us up. But starting with the immediacy is how you grip people. The lack of impact of these opening lines really leaves so much to be desired. And I typically start with dialogue because it's easier, but you can always start with a description that's just very, very sharp. I think that's a very smart piece of advice, Molly. I think it's very strong.
Like if you're going to be introducing, like, you know, in the middle of a scene like this, I would just cut out all like, cut to the first telling part. Like, from here to the mines, you pig-faced piece of dog. Like, okay, the assailant is pig-faced. There's mines involved as a point of interest. That is all we need to know. If someone's being beaten.
Yeah. The anonymous guy, I wouldn't be able to get to the proper version this time around. Because I have to leave in 20 minutes, so I gotta actually start wrapping up this room. We gotta actually get on to Anime AK, I think.
Yeah. Sorry we couldn't get too in depth in this one.
Yeah. Yeah, so sorry, like, we couldn't be more in depth on that, JJ. We also gotta think of, like, the next topic we gotta think about.
I think someone recommended like sending rewrites of your older work and like showing comparison. I think J like that would sate JJ and also just give people a nice opportunity to show us if they how they've improved from the first submissions.
Yeah, this will be this week we'll do the redraft challenge, where you redraft something that you've written previously, and you send it to us for examination, and we'll basically tell you where you've improved, where you might have slipped up still. So I think that's probably the smartest move to go about it. So we'll come back to that stuff. For now, this is from Anime AK. I believe it's number 4 for Anime AK, which is fairly long. This is about, I don't know how many words. It didn't tell me. We'll get through this like somewhere in Mistral section, because this is all about beginnings. Velvet whimpered in pain as the warlord in control of the cartel threw her into the corner of the cell. Okay, already you don't need this much information. Velvet whimpered in pain as she was thrown into the corner of the cell. That would be much sharper, much snappier, and draw the reader in immediately. Gunfire and screams of agony from the battle taking place topside of the underground network of... Gunfire and screams of agony from the battle taking place topside of the underground network. I don't think that flows well at all. Cells was getting the man before he even more nervous and agitated.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a sentence.
Comma, even more nervous, agitated.
Let's see. Was getting to the man? Tears fell from her eyes as the warlord pulled a Makarov from a holster and pulled back the slide to load a round into the chamber. Okay, well, we're getting some weird territory here. First, why does he have a Makarov? This is Ruby. Makarovs are a human earth weapon. Even though they are based on real things, they have unique characters that describe, to design them. Second, it's not a holster, it's his holster. Unless it is, there are multiple Makarovs and multiple holsters that are somehow around him that are not his. So, just pulled his Makarov from its holster.
Pulled a Makarov from a holster sounds like he just took it from some guy.
Yeah, and pulled back and drew. You want drew his Makarov from its holster and pulled back the slide to chamber a round much smoother. Sorry, dear. Well, you were my favorite. But your time has come. Okay, I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt this warlord doesn't speak proper English. But while you are my favorite, your time has come. Or, you are my favorite, but your time has come. You can't have while and but like that. The clauses do not match. The warlord spoke. You just need a comma at the end of that, and then lowercase the t. Velvet closed her eyes, holding onto whatever it was she could call clothing tight to her almost nude form. What are we reading right now?
This doesn't... okay, this doesn't go anywhere bad. This does not go anywhere bad.
Okay, but it's starting out like it's going somewhere bad. Look, I just got through Tetsuo the Iron Man, and there was like a sex scene every 15 minutes in that thing, and I'm uncomfortable here. Hoping that the bullet would grant her a quick death and to breathe breath. I get breath and breathe confused. That's breathe, right? Breathe.
Hoping that the bullet would grant her a quick death and to breathe freedom in the afterlife.
it's following on. It's like supposed to be like one of those staggered sentences where it's like it's Velvet's thoughts and she's saying it in like a staggered way where it's like hoping that the bullet would grant her a quick death. Then you want to delete that and you put a period. Period. To breathe freedom in the afterlife once he pulled the trigger, or maybe like a comma to breathe freedom in the afterlife once he pulled the trigger. Like the and it doesn't work there. It doesn't flow. But she didn't hear a gunshot. In fact, she heard the sliding of a knife instead of the hammer of the pistol striking the firing pin. You could actually, that could work really well if you just cut out that last section. So, but she didn't hear a gunshot. Semicolon. In fact, she heard the sliding of a knife instead of the hammer. That would just, I think, flow a lot better. The gurgling noise made her open her tear-stained eyes to see a man standing behind her captor, a knife in the warlord's throat. The knife was then removed and the warlord immediately covered the gaping hole the knife came out of. I don't know how he could. If a knife is coming in through the back of his neck, then it's come through his spine. He literally could not move his arms. He slid down the brick wall of Velvet's cell, choking on his own blood. The man who did the deed had his head follow the warlord's body as it slid against the wall. His body slumped over as he died in mere seconds due to blood loss at his carotid artery in his neck. The man turned to Velvet.
We don't need to know exactly what artery got severed that caused him to die.
Yeah, we've already got a pretty good description, and people know that there is important blood things in the neck.
Yes.
Your
audience is not stupid.
Yeah, the man turned to Velvet. His helmet looked like that of a knight with a glowing blue visor. But his helmet faceplate looked like it was a half skull, too. You could easily just, like his helmet...
Just make it sound prettier.
Yeah, this is really rough. It just sounds like... I know we say avoid purple prose. You need some purple prose. You need the color of this.
The thing is, when people say avoid purple prose, they mean too much purple prose. Like, no, please don't spend 15 sentences describing a character's clothing. We don't mean write like it's a engineering report.
What you have here is like mechanical prose, where it's very much just sort of like this did this did that. There's a lot.
I think beige prose is the term.
Was beige prose? Is that the term?
I think there might be different. I think beige prose is just very sparse writing, not like no writing, which is kind of what this is.
Prose writing style that favors brevity and simplicity. Nah, that's not it. Purple prose antonym. Yeah, no, I can't find it. We'll come up with something later.
We'll call it gray prose.
Yeah, and also breath and breathe. I always get my brain just mix them up. I just like
Actually, you know what? Better. We're gonna call this steel prose.
Steel prose, yes, perfect. It's very metallic, very mechanical in nature.
You should be writing prose that feels human. Like, you can write sparse prose. If this was sparse prose, it would be like Velvet looked up of like a blue light, like I don't even know. I can't like do it on the fly, but it would be like
Velvet looked up.
A soft light glue in her face.
Yeah.
She brushed herself up like
there was blue on her. Blue light hit her face. Like, think Hemingway.
Yeah, it's not like the azure blue of the knight's helmet. Like that'd be
purple prose.
That'd be more purpley.
I'm
kind of beige personally. I like it better. It just gets to the point.
I mean, I like. It really depends on what I'm trying to accomplish. I like purple prose where it's appropriate. The punctuation makes you sick. Yeah, that's a critique. It is pretty rough. This is pretty rough. And sadly, I don't have a lot of time to get over more of it. Yeah, man, you gotta...
Was this our last one?
This was our last one, thankfully, because like I have to get going in 10 minutes here. So yeah, I don't know what advice to give. You gotta work on your prose, man. But yes,
yeah.
Next week we'll be covering basically resubmissions of old work that have been redrafted, new drafts and all that. Frontier, just send us something.
Just send us
Send
anything.
us something, anything. Write about a baby elephant having a nice day. There,
Do it.
do it.
I want it. For all of Frontier's work is so like intense and dark. I would love to see him write something that's just like really chill.
Really chill and happy.
Right about the hippo at the Cincinnati Zoo. that I
Yeah,
keep
right about
mentioning.
Fiona. Right about.
I've been
little
obsessed. I've been obsessed.
Fiona. Oh man, if you ever come down here, we'll hit up the zoo. Like,
Nice.
Yeah, because like it's wonderful, wonderful place. Oh, and especially if you come here during the holidays, we do the is it the Garden of Lights?
Yeah, Zoo Lights. We'll do that at the Bronx Zoo.
Yeah, where it's just it's beautiful. Yeah, you can still submit something for next stream. And typically what we want is redrafted after we've given our critiques. I know we've been kind of like vague now, but we're hitting up these like very abstract concepts right now. Like, how do you start a book? Well, there's a lot of ways to start a book or a story. There's a lot of ways to start them. So it's like, there's a lot of different angles you can take. And we're trying to give you the feedback you need to refine. But like, there's a lot of issues that are cropping up that are just challenge accepted. Thank you, William.
Yes. We're
William-
gonna get hippo crows.
William, if you want to really impress me, get the physical layout right. Like, that's the trick.
I bet he would.
But yes, that is our challenge. Thank you all for submitting. I hope we helped you guys. I can't wait to see what you guys have in the next challenge. I hope to see you guys all improve. And I suppose we'll catch you all. Oh, wait. Before we go, don't forget that you can talk to me, Fatman, or Dashi by donating $1
go.
or more to Patreon and joining the Tundra Discord server, where all of us are active or regularly active, alongside the occasional Brit and the currently not there but will be there in the future, Mollie.
Hi.
So thank you all so much for joining us, and we'll catch you all on the flip side.
Bye.